Good day, gentlemen.
Wagwan, everybody. Lennox here from Simple 123 Trader. It is the 31st day of March on Monday, 2025. We are live at the New York Stock Market afternoon session. Glad you can join us. Hope everybody is doing well today. All right.
Last day of the month and quarter.
Indeed. Last day of the month and quarter. All right, quick look at some news, and thanks to everybody for joining us. Okay, now why did this go away here? I didn't want that to happen. Why did my mouse get stuck on this? That's weird. Okay, let's see if I can. I don't think you can put it back. Eh? Once you've taken it away, it can't go back. You can drag it. You can drag it away, but I don't think you can pin it back to your bar, can you? Action menu. Vertical tab. No, can't do it. That's too bad. Okay, so I'm going to copy this.
On Windows, if you grab the actual tab, the part where it says calendar, you can just place it back. I don't know how Mac works though. No, the tab. Yep. If you grab that and then
put it back. Yep. Oh, it did go back. Wow, you are good. I thought you could do that, but I wasn't positive. So, okay, there we go. I'm back. Thank you, Marquis.
No worries.
Marquis, saved my life there. Okay, all right. Let's go to. Okay, I'm on weekly here. I don't want to do weekly. I want to do okay, I want to do by day. I changed this last week. How did I change this? I'm losing my mind here. Let's see. Okay, bear with me again. That's news calendar. Filter by not this week, but today. That's what I want. Okay, apply filter. Okay, here we go. And it still didn't change it. Okay, let's go back. Filter by day. Filter by day. Okay. Today, default today. Okay, it's not changing it.
The calendar, you can just click the day that you want, or click just today, or whatever.
Yeah, it's not letting me do it here.
On the left, under the green bar on the left, where it says, I can't read what it says, but it says
this week?
Today, this week, this month.
Yeah, I thought I could do it that way, but it doesn't give me any options. This week, next week, this month. I just wanted today.
What do you have underneath that calendar to the left? Keep going to the left. Keep going. Yeah.
Like right here.
Now go up to the calendar. It's okay. That's
there.
Right.
It did it over there. That's interesting. Okay. Wow. Okay, so I tried it on the filter and it didn't work, even though it was the same thing today. So now it works. Thanks, George. Yeah, I'm losing my mind. It's just the beginning of the morning, and I've lost it already. No problem. Okay, so today, March 31st, we had no red news in the U.S. So after all that, I knew we had no red news anyways, but I just wanted to double check. So there was red news out of Europe, and red news on the Aussie, and that was it. All right, so for that, let's go take a look at the US dollar versus the Euro US dollar. We have a weak US dollar, which is on the bottom. Then we have a strong Euro versus the US dollar. So, and this is just in the short term, because you see we have had a very weak Euro all in the last while, and now we finally get a little bounce. So seem to be turning back to the upside for the euro against the US, and now we're starting to take a little dip on the US dollar. All right, so taking a look at what that portends for the currencies, that since we have a weak US dollar currently, we would be looking for some strength in these other currencies, but Aussie is not. Let me go to the hourly. Aussie is strong, yes. So there, Aussie is pushing back against the weak US dollar. We saw that Euro US dollar was strong. GBP US dollar should also be strong. So if we were playing the currencies, then we would be strictly at this point looking for 1, 2, 3 bottoms. And let's see if there is anything setting up on GBP USD, for instance. And right down to the 1 minute time frame, we can see we're kind of in a fourth wave already. So this would have been our play in the beginning if we were able to catch this at 1225. So there's a beautiful 1, 2, 3 bottom right there where we got a sweep here, and then off we went, and now we're up into a fourth wave area. So no play currently, but that was a nice setup on GBP US dollar on the 1 minute time frame right there. Okay, so let me continue on. We'll take a look at New Zealand US dollar. New Zealand US dollar is here. That should be also strong. It is. And next we'll look at USD CAD, which should be weak. And it is slightly weak. USD Swiss, which should be slightly weak. And it's US dollars versus the Swiss is not so weak at the current. It's neutral. USD JPY should be weak, and it's not. It's very strong. So these two are basically bucking the trend based on the weakness of the US dollar. Taking a look at oil. Oil is very strong. Incredibly strong. Wow. That's quite the move on oil. Silver, also some strength in silver, and there should be a little bit of strength in gold, but it's quite neutral gold right now. So interesting setups here with all these currencies and commodities. Okay, so how is Tesla this morning? Let's take a look at Tesla. Right. I see that my mouse is kind of jittery, and the reason why is I've got something running in the background, and I don't know if I can close. I don't think I can close it, so I can't really close it, because if I do, I might take away our session on YouTube, which is not what I want to do. So I'm going to leave it alone, because I'm not sure if closing it would. Okay, looks like it's gone now all of a sudden. All right, it just went away. So I think my mouse will be back now to normal. Okay, so looking at Tesla. Tesla on the hourly has had a very strong move. So quite the opening here from last Friday. Big gap down to these lows here. So they took out the lows that I was pointing at from last week, that there was a possibility for them to come down this area. And you can see, well, I'm on the hourly here, but there's a 1, 2, 3 top, and then chopped it in here and they dropped it. So that makes sense. And that's what we would be looking for. And now we're chopping back slowly to the upside, but it looks like we could, couple scenarios, we could make a 1, 2, 3 here to continue up a little further to retrace this entire amount, and then we could come down. That's a possibility like that. or we could chop in here and then continue down further, or we could just come straight down. So there's a number of possibilities here. The one I like the most is the first one, I think. We could come all the way back up and then start to come back down. Let's go down to the 30-minute on Tesla. So we're pushing up nicely. Yeah, it looks like that's what they're planning to do here. So I've got a an inverted, I've got a gap here, which could potentially come into play. So it's, most of it has been already taken out. So will they reach for this gap on the way back up? We shall see. This gap will come into play on the way back. I don't know if they're even going to go up that high, but that's a possibility. Let me get rid of this guy. On the 15, we've got a 1, 2, 3 bottom. We're moving up quite nicely. Can they make it to that high? It's possible. There's a lot of illiquidity in here, so it's possible for them to reach to that level. So huge 1, 2, 3 bottom. And we're slowly snaking up, but I don't know if there's enough umph here for us to make it all the way up to that gap up there. Might not be, so we shall see. All right, take a look at NAS. I'm going to go to the daily on the NAS. So on the NASDAQ, I was looking for them to take out all these lows. Remember from last week, and from, we were looking for a drop down to take out these lows, and they have done just that. Incredibly, with a big huge wick here, tail, they took all the lows out. So are we done? Question would be, is this the bottom on the daily time frame and we're ready to turn around and go back up? It looks pretty good. This is what I was expecting. So from when we looked at it from I'm on the weekly, the overall structure, and I'm doing all this because I haven't really looked at the charts. I didn't look at the charts from yesterday. I was away in Vancouver and didn't get a chance to look at the charts or anything like that. So I'm just looking at them for the first time this morning here. And it's good for me to get a good overall perspective of where we are. So we had this beautiful 1, 2, 3 bottom at this point, and we pushed up and we chopped and drop. So that's what we expected, that drop back down. However, we have come back into this area quite a bit, so we do not have an impulse. So we don't have an impulse wave where we stay. That's not a very good drawing. Where we stay above this area. So that would have indicated that this was an impulse move. So since we have violated this area by dropping into it, then we're not in an impulse wave. We're in some type of different structure. And so even this at this point could be a huge 1, 2, 3 bottom as well. So I'm going to just shrink this chart up a little bit more. It's just so I can see how it all looks. So, okay, this is the weekly. Okay, so now we can get a better picture of it. So now we can see a bottom at this point here. So we can kind of trace it now and see that we had a 1, 2, 3 here, and we went all the way up. So another big move here, and then we went all the way up, drop back, get a 1, 2, 3 here, moving up, chopping up, drop. So because this is not an impulse, we can certainly go back up. We might be hard pressed to take out this high, or we'll just take out the high by a little bit, and then we could be coming back. So I can see this being the bottom, and we could see a nice push back up to the highs, which would be really boding well for the markets if we could do that. I don't really see us collapsing below this level at this point. We have failed to do that so far. We've all these lows have held all the way up. And so I would want to see that continuing into the future, that we hold these lows. So we've had higher highs and higher lows. So we're marching along nicely. If we were to break the trend and come down and take out this low, then all bets are off and we're going to be in a different type of scenario. So we don't really want to see that. So that would be kind of a worst case scenario in the markets. So right now it looks like we've hit bottom and we're bouncing. So any thoughts, guys? Looks like a reasonable analysis, assumption, presumption.
I've been hesitant to go in just because it's just showing sideways movement. Though I do like when I see the wicks. When I see the wicks, if I look down on the lower charts, then I can usually find a good 1, 2, 3. But I don't know. I've just been kind of playing it slow. Even though on a 1 minute, there's a nice 1, 2, 3 top forming right now. On the NAS.
I'll march my way down and see where we are. So, okay, so the weekly, again, we've come to this low, and on the weekly, we don't have anything here, but on the daily, I believe this is where this gap is. So on the daily time frame, I've got this marked. Yeah, there's a gap right there. So we came right into that gap and all the way down to the bottom of it, but did not go and close below. So the daily gap is really holding, and with lots of buying coming in and pushing us back up in that wick. So I'm going to continue down. So I'm going to call this the bottom at this point, although there is a possibility that we could certainly, there's a 1, 2 here, we could certainly come back up. And the similar thing I showed, I think it was with, what was I looking at when I did that? Bitcoin maybe? Anyways, we could get this bounce. And then we could continue down one more time to take out this low. That is a possibility. So I'm not going to rule that out. So we have to watch for that. Ideally, I'd like to see us go up and drop back and continue, but there's still a possibility for us to come down and take out this low one more time. I'm not going to rule that possibility out. So on the hourly, again, I'm calling this a bottom, but that's a tentative one. So we've got this. This looks like the opening from Friday. Yeah, this is the opening from Friday and Sunday. Yeah, so I marked that out. There's a big gap there, and we've come back into that gap already on this move up. So on the 30-minute, you can see we're right into that gap. Now we do have other gaps above that we can reach into. We have these highs up here that we can reach towards as well. So I've got a high here. That's a possible reach. Just mark that. And actually, I would mark the next one up because that's even more likely. Okay, so we could reach for these highs here. Right there. And any other gaps up here? There's a huge gap way up here, so and one in here. So won't mark those as yet, but so short term, looks like we're in a fourth wave area on the 30-minute, 15-minute, yes. So we have a huge 1, 2, 3 on the 15, and we've moved up with lots of strength. So it looks like we're going to be sliding along this afternoon here for most of the session. That's why what you said there, Marquis, we're kind of in a fourth wave area, so it's very choppy right now. All right, so on the 5-minute, we can see this quite clearly. So that was a Tesla that I had looked at earlier. So there's a similar to Tesla. We have this 1, 2, 3 bottom, and we've pushed all the way up. And now we could chop up and down in here before we continue one more time to the upside. That's kind of what I would be looking for. can see my 3-4 hour candles here showed some strength. We opened, dropped, and pushed up to the taking out the previous 4-hour candles high, and we were getting some rejection. So we could see again a little bit of battling going on in here. So similar to what we looked at from the weekly standpoint, we have not come back and taken out these lows all the way up so far. So far we've been very strong, and but we could see a low being taken. It doesn't mean that we're coming back down. It just, we could still just gyrate in here. So we'll keep a watch on that. So this is on the 5-minute. So I'm still looking to go long because of our 1, 2, 3 bottom here. So if I mark off an expansion move with the Fibonacci, looking at where 1.618 would take us, it's taken us up to that gap that I marked off. So if I go back up to the 30-minute, 1.618 takes me right up to the top of the opening gap from Friday. This is where we closed on Friday. So that's a possible reach to that area on this move up. We could come and fill in this gap completely, it looks like. All right, so I'm going to go back to the 15 so that we can still see it there. So there's my 1, 2, 3 bottom. So this would be our structure. We get a structure move to the upside. That's what I'd be looking for here. After that, if that does play out, then we would look for a retrace and a continuation, or a retrace and another retrace and a continuation to the downside. That's the opposite scenario. So it all depends on how they play this out here. It looks like we're going to get quite the chop in here, though. We'll see. So at this moment in time, not much going on for trading. See how it looks on the 1-minute time frame. Wow, very choppy, very volatile, eh? There's 1, 2 there, another 1, 2, drop, chop, and drop. And very choppy in here. You can't get in at all in here. It's so quick. They don't give you any kind of retrace setups. Quick move to the highs, back down. So you can see we're starting. We swept this high, so we could sweep this low. It's possible. And then I'd be looking for a move back up. So if we sweep this low, I will look for 1, 2, 3 here to go back up. So that might be a possible play here if we get a sweep of this low. Two. Yeah, we could sweep that low. Let's see what happens here. I'm going to take a look at Bitcoin now. See how Bitcoin looks. So Bitcoin, I'm going to start on the weekly as well. So Bitcoin, I'm looking for another drop on Bitcoin. So it looks like if this is the case that we get another drop on Bitcoin to come down and take out this low here, then we would be looking for continuation down on the indices as well. So we have a 1, 2, 3 top here. We chopped up in here, and we're looking for this drop. So drop down into the 75,000 area is what I've been calling for the last bit. So that's the weekly. Here we are on the daily. Let me go back to the weekly one more time. Sorry. And so we chop through here on the weekly. Get a 1, 2, 3 right there. That's our 1, 2, 3 we're looking for. We get this big move. We chopped it up in here, similar to the indices, chopped up, and then we're dropping. So is this the bottom? On Bitcoin, it's saying no, because we're just at this level, so we should drop through. So on the NASDAQ, I think it's a similar story. I'm thinking that, yeah, we could do that and go up, but I think that's a more unlikely scenario. more than likely we're going to come back down one more time to take out the lows. So on the daily, you can see on the NAS, we took out all these lows already on the NASDAQ. That this drop took all those lows, and now that's where we get the big pin bar to come back up. However, on Bitcoin, we haven't done that. We're still stuck in this fifth wave here. So I'm expecting a further drop on Bitcoin. If I'm completely wrong, that means that they're not coming down to take out these lows at all, and we would turn around and continue going up. But it doesn't look likely that that's the scenario at this point. We have a 1, 2, 3 in here. So again, we'll be chopping up for an expected drop to take out these lows. So that would put pressure on the indices more than likely. So there's our 1, 2, 3 here. Chop, 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 drop, chop, 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 drop. That's kind of what I'm looking for here. Okay, so on the 4 hour, big drop here. So they, again, I'm going to just look at this from this angle. They gave us a nice 1, 2, 3 in here. We would have looked for a move out one more time, but they did not do that. They chopped it all up in here, and then gave us a 1, 2, 3 top and dropped it all the way down to this level, which is very unusual that we didn't come out of here into a fifth wave. So this move down, we didn't take out the lows here either on the way down. So we're still in this move, pushing back to the upside. So we could come back up in here, and I would still be looking for them to come down one more time. That's what I would expect. If I'm wrong, then instead of us coming back down to take out the lows, we would come in and continue. But I don't really see that. I'm looking more for this kind of move to the downside. So, all right. So that's how I see it. And we can see that we're very flat here, and we get this push to the upside. So I'm looking for them to come back down, take out these lows. It could happen today. That's the hourly. It's possible it could happen today, but maybe not. We're on the hourly here, so it could be a while before we get back down there. But 30 minutes, yeah, it might be a while before we get back down there, certainly. So we've swept these highs. So they've swept out these guys over here, so there is no liquidity up here. We've got a 1, 2, 3 here, and some kind of news of something here happened, of something big. They took everybody out who bought. That's very mean. And then left them all in the dust, and we're chopping up and down here. So we could see one more push up, possibly, to take out the highs, and a 1, 2, 3 top to come back down. So something like that. Okay, so that would be similar to the indices, one more push to the upside. So 15-minute. Now we can really see the structure. So these lows, we just swept here. Did we sweep that low? Doesn't look like. No, we did not sweep this low. So that low is still intact. So only a sweep here. And we got a big structure move here. Now we're just chopping, just the same thing as the indices are. They're just chopping. So we'd be expecting another move to the upside to take out these highs. So on the short term here, we're heading to the upside. So we need to find a 1, 2, 3 on Bitcoin in all this mess. So I've got a gap here. So I've marked that off, looking for price to come down into this gap and give us a 1, 2, 3 turnaround here to go back to the upside. So that will be the play on Bitcoin. Okay, so some patience there. We can get it, and look at that. We're getting this beautiful setup right now. 1, 2, 3 top. This drop. So we're chopping up in here, and we'll be looking for another drop to take out these lows, and then a turnaround 1, 2, 3 bottom to come back up. So let's see if we can catch that on Bitcoin. That will give us some nice profits there. If it will do what we are expecting. I notice on Bitcoin that sometimes they really do not give us the fifth waves. So we have to be really careful. Sometimes we come like this. I'm expecting them to come through one more time, but they don't. So have to be watchful. Like here, I would have thought that that would have been a possibility. They would have dropped through one more time to sweep these lows, but they did not. So it is possible for them to do the same thing on this side as well. So looking for a drop to take out the lows first here. And so let's see if that happens on Bitcoin. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the NAS. Similar, it's almost the same pattern. So you can see here on Bitcoin, we had a clear 1, 2, 3, but we don't have it on NASDAQ. It is here, but it's different. It's 1, 2, 3 this way. Then we get this job. We're chopping, and I'm expecting another drop to take out these lows and to take out these lows. And then we're looking for a 1, 2, 3 here. So let's see how S&P differs here, if it does differ from NASDAQ. And it doesn't differ. It's the same. Actually, there is a difference. They have taken out these lows. So NASDAQ did not, right? Am I correct? No, yes. Yeah, they have not taken out these lows on the NASDAQ as yet, but S&P has. So right now we have divergence with the two. So if I go to that chart, let me just to look at both of them, S&P versus the NASDAQ, you can see we have divergence. Nope. I didn't have a trade on. We have divergence right here. Clear divergence. So they both have a 1, 2, 3 top and this drop and chop, but the S&P went straight down and took out the lows, whereas NASDAQ was stronger. S&P is weaker here. So can S&P come back down to take out this low one more time? Possible, and not possible. I mean, there's two scenarios that we could either do it or we don't. I would expect it still. I would still expect them to drop it down to take out both lows here on the NAS, and I would still expect them to drop it down, take out the low here on the S&P, but we shall see. So we need some patience here before we can make a trade. Thoughts, anyone? Anybody see anything that I've missed or looks reasonable?
Seems good when I'm able to watch.
Makes sense, what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this
Although
is
that
where you can.
wants to drop again.
Sorry?
I said, although that NAS looks like it wants to drop again.
Yeah, that's what we're expecting, right? We're expecting a drop through to take out these lows. And so we're in a fourth wave area right now. So this is one of the things where you get fooled, you know, because we have this 1, 2, 3 here. A lot of people get fooled by that, and they jump in thinking that we're going to just go, and that's where you get messed up. So we can see from our structure that we're in a fourth wave area. So we don't want to be going long in here. We want to be looking to take out the lows first. So I can put in we have a gap right here. So this gap is in play essentially at this point. We have touched it here, and so it's mitigated most of the gap, but half of the gap is still available. So they can push back up into that gap and then bring it back down. So we're looking for our A, B, C, D, E type structure in here, which sometimes is hard to see, but something like that, and then I drop back down. So this is playable to the downside to take out these lows if you felt you know, that it was worthwhile, or you can wait for them to take out the lows and give us a proper 1, 2, 3 to come back up, which will be the better play. But so we're at 35 minutes after 1. So again, I'm just looking at my 4-hour bar that just opened. So this is the current 4-hour bar. We opened right here, and immediately we fell and gave us that tail. And then we went up, straight up, took out the previous 4-hour high. So that was the sweep up here. So this is a great move, you know, if you could have got in at this move, take out the previous high. And now we're coming back down to take out the lows at this point. So they came very close to going back into the gap, but they did not. So we could be going straight down here now, possibly. I say possibly because, of course, we're in a fourth wave, so they can chop this up more and go back up again. And, you know, they left equal highs here, so yeah, they can take them out again. I'd like to see them push into the gap first before we come down. So, and you see they did just do that, take out those highs. So they have a way of inducing people to go, you know, people start freaking and say, oh, it's going. So they jump in and then you get taken out. So now they could leave and come down, certainly, because they've taken out these highs now and touched into the gap. So let's see S&P, what's it doing? S&P has a similar gap. There's a difference with the S&P's gap is that in that we didn't mitigate anything on it, really. So that whole gap is kind of in play. There was some mitigation here. We've come in a number of times. So it looks like they want to take out these equal highs right here at that point. So it's a different type of structure. I can see 1, 2 here, and now they're chopping it up in here. So they look like they're going to take out the highs here, and then come down one more time. It's a little clearer on the S&P is what I'm trying to say, because they swept this low here, which they didn't do on the NAS. When they sweep the low, what happens is you get a 1, 2, 3, and that's what happens. You see the 1, 2, 3 much clearer, and then you get the chop, this move up. That gives us our structure of our wave, and now we would expect them to come back down and take everybody out. If we're to get a fifth wave. So the difference on the NAS, and you see they're pushing right up higher here. The difference on the NAS is that we don't sweep that low. We didn't sweep the low, but they gave us a 1, 2, 3, but it's not quite like a 1, 2, 3 because it's so choppy right beside it. Whereas on the NASDAQ, this was higher and they chopped it. So are we done in this area here? They come back up into this order block, pseudo order block, little gap there as well. They come right back there. So that could be it. And we could certainly fall from here. There is another gap right above, so they might be heading for that one. Well, it looks like that's the case. Wow, amazing. So they're really going up, really enticing the longs here. So we've touched that gap. Let's see what S&P did. S&P is doing the same. So S&P is giving us a nice clear 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 structure. So this gap is no longer in force. So it looks like they're both turning. So a fractal here, I would sell it because at this point, yeah, I would sell that right away because I think they're done and we're going to be heading back down. So I would put a stop above this high here that's created the gap, and look for a drop to come back down and take out all these lows and right down to these lows at the bottom here. That will be my sell. So I'm not even waiting for a larger 1, 2, 3 at this point. I'm just jumping in on the fractal, which is a 3 candle high and 2 highs lower, and then looking for them to drop it down. So this gap is no longer in play. Okay, I'm going to take a little something off. I don't trust these guys. Oh, if we can get back down there again. Yes, okay, I'll take a little something off right there. Bring my stop down and let the rest run. So I'll bring my stop right into, there's a gap in here as well. So now we have a new gap here. So I wouldn't expect them to come back through this gap, and we should just continue down to take out the lows. See S&P. So I would think Bitcoin would have made a similar move. Yes, indeed. So Bitcoin, they've even gone down below the gap on Bitcoin that we marked. So where are they going to? If they break this low, there isn't anything for them to come down to here, except for this gap way down here, which would be a bit unusual. So perhaps a breach of this low, and that might suffice, but it could go lower than that. But I don't see anything down here for them to go into, per se. So they might be coming very close. They might just be a sweep of this low here. So it was a playable drop on Bitcoin, but it's a little messy, you can see. So this is a clean 1, 2, 3. So that was a nice entry right there. And then they did it again, another entry possibility right there, and then you get this drop. So we should see a sweep of this low, and then 1, 2, 3 bottom to come back up. That would be what I'd be kind of looking for there. So we just swept the low. So again, there's nothing here for them to come down to get, because everything has been balanced. a little gap here, but it's mostly been mitigated. So, I mean, yeah, there is a gap here on, it would be an inverted gap, but it's been mostly been mitigated. So it's not really of any consequence. But it does cut through candles, these inverted gaps. So you have to look at it in that way. There is an inverted gap right there. So they could drop into that little inverted gap and turn around at that point. That's a possibility. All right, so looking for a turnaround 1, 2, 3 bottom on Bitcoin. Let's go back to NAS here. How are we doing on NAS? Okay, so almost there. So they've swept this low. Will they sweep the next low? I would think that that will be the case. We should sweep this low as well. So the S&P is sweeping. We're going to sweep that low that wasn't swept the first time. Okay, so let's one more drop here. Very close to taking out the next low. Is there anything else below that low? Here's an order block. So that should be enough for them just to sweep these lows, equal lows here, and we should then turn around, I would think. So I bring my stop down a little bit more, just in case they don't go down and take out the low. I can at least lock in with some profits. But I would think we should be done, and we should come down and take out the lows. I'm going to go right down to the middle of this gap.
On a 5-minute time frame, it looks like we could go down pretty far.
On a 5-minute time frame, we do have a 1, 2, 3 top now. So yes, we could certainly swing lower, but this 1, 2, 3 bottom is controlling the move, right? So we've had another 1, 2, another 1, 2, yet another one. So I'm looking more for a chop in here, but they could certainly come down as well. So it is possible for them to take this guy and take this guy. I'm just going for the low hanging fruit right now, but we could certainly come down further. You're correct. I really don't see this as a 1, 2, 3 though, even on the 5-minute, because of the fact that the larger 1, 2, 3 here is controlling the move. So we would be looking for, even if they came and swept this low, we would be looking for a turnaround to go back up. Yeah. So it's possible, yeah, they could come back down into this gap maybe. But that low-hanging fruit of this equal low here is enough at this point, and then we could get a retrace, and they could go back one more time, something like that. So I can mark this gap here. Okay, so I'm out. So I hit target. So this gap is partially mitigated, so I would use the bottom of it right there. So it is a possibility that they could drop as far down as here on the 5-minute. But now that we've swept these guys, we could just retrace here. Now either we're retracing to continue up and take out the highs again, or we can retrace to continue back down, right? So which one will it be? That's why I wanted to take the profit here, because there's no guarantee that we can just go straight down and, So I think the lesson here is take the low-hanging fruit when you get it. You know, when that wind blows the tree branch close to you, and you can grab the fruit, take it, because waiting for another drop down might not occur immediately. Yes, it could possibly, you know, go back up and then drop back through. Yes, but there's no guarantee of it. So
I agree with that. It's good to take the money.
mm-hmm. Remember, the pigs get slaughtered, as Peter likes to say. So for those of us on YouTube watching, those of you on YouTube watching, we are the simple 1, 2, 3 traders. We're looking for 1, 2, 3 setups, and essentially 1, 2, 3 setups are similar to this type of move, where we get a 1, 2, 3. We call it 1, 2, 3 because we're looking at the low point, the high point, the low point. The rules are very simple. Number 3 point cannot break number 1 point. That's as simple as the rules are for this. Number 2 point, the retrace to number 3 is usually in about 50 to 62% retrace. That's what we're always kind of looking for, 50 to 62% retrace. And we prefer to have a sweep on this side of previous lows. And then we enter in the 50 to 62% area and look to take profits either at the number 2 point or higher to previous highs, or to 1.618 using the fibs, and or 1.272. I'm sorry if my drawing 1.272, or 1.414, which is right in between 1.414. So these will be the three targets here that we'll be looking at. So that's the 1, 2, 3, and we also incorporate fair value gaps. So if there's a fair value gap on this leg between 1 and 2, that's a bonus. Or we use order blocks. If there's an order block on this leg as well, that's another bonus. The sweep is a bonus. So I'm looking for 3 check marks minimum to take this trade. Sweep of the previous high, that's another bonus. And they retrace into 50 to 62% is a bonus. And you take the trade. So there we go. We came down, swept. So if you had sat in this trade looking for a continued move down for more profits, you wouldn't have gotten it. So it's best to just take the profits. Quick sweep there. So now the question is, did they take this high? And if so, then we would be looking for a retrace to continue to the upside, not to continue down, because the pressure is to the upside now. Right? The buyers have stepped in big time right now. And if they sweep this high, and the likelihood of them coming back to take this low is going to be very low, especially if they close above the high.
I am not a pig.
Yeah, the low-hanging fruit's best. So I'm going to take a look at Bitcoin, because interestingly, Bitcoin went right into that inverted gap. Amazing, and bounced. Doesn't mean that they can't go back through one more time, but at this point I would be looking for a 1, 2, 3 to go back up. I don't want to see them break this low again, but they can. So you have to be careful about jumping in. And the reason why I'm saying they can is because my structure doesn't look like it's complete. I've got a large 1, 2, 3 here, even though it's a bit messy. Another one here, this drop. So this could just be a chop, and we could see another drop to take out the lows one more time. That's a possibility. All right, so NAS did not take out the high. Did S&P? Nope, neither took out the highs. All right, so it is possible for them now to come back down and take out these lows again, since we have not taken out these highs. So I like this trade from here because my structure said we drop and we chop. So I'm expecting them to take the lows. So that's a healthy sell at that point. You know, it's a high probability sell because of that expectation that we should take the lows. So that's why I jumped in at that level. So now if I can get a 1, 2, 3 here, it's a possible buy to go back up, even though they have not taken this high, because they have swept this low and this low. I'm holding this low here to be relatively strong because of the fact it's been swept. So there shouldn't be a reason for them to be coming back down to take out these lows again. But you have to be very careful about that because there's no guarantee that they can't go through and take them out again, especially since they didn't take out the highs. So there's it's a little bit of a conundrum, but yeah, that's what makes it fun. So how can we determine if they're going to turn around and continue back up? All right, so everything is looking pretty good here. I've got a sweep. I don't have a sweep here, so I've got one check mark. Now I'm looking for a gap on this side for them to come back into, and here's a gap right here. This is a nice gap in discount, and discount means we've come back below 50% of this leg. So the 50% mark would be somewhere in this area. Let me just mark it to be sure where we are. 50% from here to here puts us right there. Yeah, so we're at 50% level, below 50% into this gap. And we also have an inverted gap from this side. So everything is looking pretty good here for a reversal to the upside. So I could take a trade on a fractal at this point, or I could wait for them to break the high, give us a 1, 2, 3, and then we go. The only problem with doing that is if they do that, sometimes they might not retrace very much and they take off because there's a lot of strength in here or buyers. So you might not get a full retrace. So I do have a gap here. Mark that one. It's an inverted gap now. So I'm looking for them to kind of do something like this, drop back, and continue. So there's nothing else for them to come down to here. We're at an order block area, so we shouldn't really take these lows out. We should be turning around here. But I could be wrong. Let's see, 5 minutes. So the overall picture, remember, on the 5 minute is that we're in a fourth wave. So in the fourth wave, you can get chopped up. So you have to be really careful because we're in this chop. So remember on the fourth wave, and this is very odd looking fourth wave as it is, we're just getting chopped up right now. So yes, it's still possible for them to do this move. We could still take out these lows. Anything's possible. So you have to be super careful on the 1 minute because you forget where you are overall and start thinking, oh yeah, this looks really good. And then you get taken out. So these lows should hold, like I said. I would expect them to take out this high. So we'll get a nice candle here. So they have come below my gaps. That's why I'm a little skeptical about this move. We come all the way down to the last order block here. There is an actual, this is kind of sneaky on their part, but if this is something that I've noticed that they do, so I'm going to just explain what I'm talking about here. There is a gap right here between those two candles. And you see how they came into that gap. This is how tricky they are. They can come right down into little gaps like that that you don't even notice. Most people wouldn't even notice that. And they can just wick in there, and that's enough for them to continue up. And you wonder, why are they coming, why do they go below the big, fair value gap here? Why would they go through that? And, there's nothing down here. There's two red candles here that's supposed to be an order block and so on, but yet they come right down into it, and there's a little gap right there, and that's enough of a gap for them to fill and then move. So I'd be looking for a fractal right here to get in, but you see where the fractal opens, the next low candle is here, so you're getting in way up here. I don't want to do that, so that's not a good play. I'd rather, if the candle had opened here and gone up, that would have been a better entry because my risk would be quite small here. But to get in up here is not a good thing, because now where do I put my stop? I have to put my stop way back down here or something. It's not really good. All right, so we've taken out the highs. So now I'm looking for a retrace back. Okay, so we have gaps, painting. Where are my 4-hour candles? My 4-hour candle's gone. It's thinking about repainting my 4-hour candles, but it's having a hard time. Or did I lose them? I've lost them. Oh. Well, it took them off. Wow, I'm losing them. Let me get my indicator back up. Oh, it's not allowing me. Okay, I'm gonna have to refresh the screen. Sorry, guys. Something went awry there. Okay, let's see if it puts it back for me. Yeah, it looks like I've got them back now. So something went awry in my, yeah, there they are. So odd behavior there. Okay, so that was a very tricky move on their part here, because they came back into this gap and took off without any fanfare. So this is a missed opportunity, because I just saw this at the last second there when they started to move. Otherwise, this would have been a nice entry right there because of that little gap. And you could have caught that move, which is even a better move, well, pretty close to the same kind of move as this move. So this move to the upside. But now we have a change of character. We're looking for a retrace back down into a gap. So if we can get that, we can catch this move to continue pushing to the upside, which is what we're expecting on the 5-minute. Right, we're expecting to chop in here and continue to take out the highs. So let's see if we can catch a 1, 2, 3 bottom on this retrace. So where will we retrace to? We'll be looking for 50% move of this guy or lower. So we want to come down into this gap or lower, ideally. So this inverted gap would be nice if we come all the way back down there. I don't know if they're going to do that, but at least 50% area. Let me get rid of some of these things off the chart. These guys can go. This guy can go. Okay. This guy can go. All right, so we're looking for a retrace back down into about 50% or into this inverted gap here. How's Bitcoin doing? So Bitcoin still looks like it wants to drop through. So that would be, right now the NAS has made this move. We're looking for the NAS to retrace. So this would be in line with a retrace for Bitcoin. This move down to take out these lows would be in line with this move down for the index. And then we'd be looking for a 1, 2, 3 here to go back up on Bitcoin. And then we'd be looking for a 1, 2, 3 here on NAS to continue back up. So they're kind of in tandem, but in different areas.
Can I give another thought on that?
Yes, sir, please.
So on NAS, if you look on a higher time frame, like on the 1 hour, do you think we're still maybe in a fourth wave? Like once we break some of these highs, they might drop it again.
Yes.
Like that pin bar might be a 3. The bottom.
Yes, I do, because, and the reason why, because remember what I said, we have a 1, 2, 3 here.
Yeah.
So this basically is a fourth wave, and we could do something like this and then come back down, take out these lows again.
Yeah. So what I was thinking is maybe the NAS will go up, take out whatever it can on the fourth, on that wave, and then Bitcoin will follow it down when it goes down.
That's right. Yeah, because Bitcoin, when we look at Bitcoin at on the same 4 hour here, Bitcoin is more poised for that drop than is the NAS. So Bitcoin, we have a 1, 2, 3 right here. Let me just use a smaller circle. We have, oops, sorry. We have a 1, 2, 3 right here. And we drop down. Yes, we've swept this low, but this whole thing looks like we could just come maybe up something like that and then drop again to take out these lows. That's a possibility, certainly. So they're both kind of acting similar. Bitcoin could push one more time up and then get a drop, just like NAS. So yes, I think you're correct. That this push up could be short-lived. So they're just taking off without even coming back. So yeah, they're not giving us any retrace here. They're not giving anybody a chance to get in. So this was very sneaky here of them. And had they opened this candle, had it opened here, that would have been in that move, because that's what I was expecting them to go up and take out this high. However, they didn't give you that chance. They opened up way up here on the close. They didn't give you any retrace, and it's gone. So they're very, very good here, very sneaky. All right, so now you can see this is what we're expecting overall. We got this 1, 2, 3. We chop up and down in here, and expecting to move up to take out the highs and go into the, we're there already. Look at 1.618 is my target, and we're almost there. So this is very, very efficient setup here. So we're right into the gap. I'm looking for them to come up to that 1.618 area at the end of Friday's, that's Friday's close right there. So looks like they're heading right up to that area as expected. So quite interesting here. But unfortunate, a miss because of the way they did this very sneakily. So I was expecting that move. They sweep both. You get a 1, 2, 3, but they're so quick here. You don't get a chance to get in, and it's gone. And we're right into the macro or into the algo time as well. That's another. The time. You see the timing of this is impeccable, because here it is 2 o'clock, and here we go. We're off. So the algo has kicked in beautifully. So there's your algo, George, today. Wasn't even paying attention to what time it was, and that's exactly at that time. I don't know if George is still with us. He said he was going to be leaving, so he might not be there. So there's that that quick move.
I managed to get in on that engulfing candle, that bottom one.
Excellent, because it is a nice sign that they're going. I didn't want to jump in at this height, but it would have been worth it to get in at that point. But I thought perhaps it would break the high, give us another retrace, and then go, but no retrace whatsoever. But that's okay. You know, you don't have to catch everything, and glad that you did, Stacy. That's excellent. So what I thought Bitcoin was going to do there is to do that drop one more time, because I was expecting this move, but we don't get it at all. Bitcoin just decides to continue going up as well. All right, so now I'd be looking for a turnaround, which might not happen for a while now, because I have a large 1, 2, 3 now at this point. So we still have to get to a fourth wave and then another push and so on. So we're still heading up. If I go up to the hourly, we're heading up to where? There's another gap here. Okay, that gap is part of the whole gap, so I'm going to forget that one. We're heading up to these highs here. Because this gap is a part of that. I mean, I could mark it, but I think you kind of get this gap right here is all a part of this opening. So we could go higher into it and up to these highs up here. So beautiful move here. Unfortunately, that I did not get in, but so Bitcoin gave us a bit better retrace at that point, because we get the change, we get the move up, we get the retrace, and that's a better retrace, where NASDAQ said, no, I'm not giving you any retrace whatsoever, and you could catch that move. So the interesting thing is, if I was watching just Bitcoin by itself, without looking at the NAS, I would have been expecting this kind of move to take out the lows one more time, and then getting this 1, 2, 3 here. So I would have expected that, and not getting it, you have to wait for this change of character at this point. Once they do that, then you know that perhaps it's over and you have to go long. So this is how they fool you, by not giving you that drop. How's your Tesla doing, Peter?
Good. I've been in and out of it all morning.
Yeah, Tesla is doing a similar thing as the NAS, but we get the pullbacks nicely there. So this is what we're looking for, that beautiful pullback, the sweep here, retrace back into 50 to 62%. Got gaps in here. This is like perfection. And this is like a perfect setup. Catch the move. If I put the fibs on this, where would that take us? If I said, okay, I'm just going to go to 1.618 of this move, you could be taking profits off here. You could be taking profits off here or here. You could go 200%. You could go 2.414. You could go 2.618. So just by this 1, 2, 3 bottom, you've got all that potential. Previous high. Really nice setup here. So from here at 253.5, you say we got to 256.5. That's 3 points, not bad. Take it.
Yeah.
So we're looking for we're in a fourth wave now, so we could gyrate in here for a bit. But we're looking for a 1, 2, 3 to get out and continue the push.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
NASDAQ, similar, looking for 1, 2, 3 to get back out of here again. But because we're at a fourth wave area, we could gyrate in here for a while. So we have to be careful. Yes, we could just continue straight up as well, but you have to be, respectful of a fourth wave that you can get chopped up in here. So a very strong 4-hour candle here, just rocking along. So another nice fractal, tempting for an entry, but not want to enter at this point because I'm in a fourth wave. So I'm going to be patient and wait out because they can do this kind of stuff. I've got a gap there. I've got an inverted gap as well. They could also just do this, and then take off. That's possible, but we just don't know for sure what they're going to do with this. So. Are you out, Stacy, or are you still in?
No, I got out. I got out near the top, like that red engulfing top bar. I got out.
Yeah, great, because that's if I put my fib on, we're up at over 200% from this low. So beautiful area to be taking your profits off for sure. You can always play it the opposite way. You can stay in, take a partial, and move your stop up and so forth. But
Yeah,
you have the option. It's nice when you're in profit because you have options to decide what you want to do.
Yeah, I was expecting it to drop further, so that's why I got out.
So I'm getting a retrace back into this inverted gap. And there's a regular gap. So this could be an entry, but I'm entering in a fourth wave. So your risk is high for a loss. Because there's no guarantee that just because I get a 1, 2, 3 here that it's going to go. They can still mess you up. So almost to the, we're in the middle of the inverted gap and almost touched the regular gap. We could just take off, but I don't want to take the trade here. As tempting as it looks. We've had a nice run. So there could be a lot of accumulation going on here, manipulation. So we can still come down and take out this low one more time as well. So it's just not a great spot. This is a great spot here. One more drop down. Take out these. And then we go. Maybe. Or do they come down, take out the low? Are you with us, George? said he might be leaving for a bit, so might not be with us. So it's just you and you, Stacy and Marquis. It's just you guys.
I'm here.
And oh yeah, and Peter. Sorry, Peter.
I'm always here.
Great. Yeah, let's see Tesla at this point. Tesla is similar to the NAS right now. They're just fourth wave area, so they can induce you to go long and short in here and mess you up. S&P is similar, so you can see we're just kind of starting to go sideways a little bit. Bitcoin is doing the same thing. Bitcoin is looking tempting for sure. Just like the NAS, we're right in that gap. So it's looking like a tempting buy to continue the push. Yeah, this is going to be slow motion for a while. It says to take a buy on Bitcoin. I'm going to give it a shot. I just want to see if they're going to just leave out at this point. This could be where we leave from. NAS looks like it wants to. Bitcoin is following suit. So that worked for Bitcoin. I'm going to take a quick profit because of that and let go. So just quick hit. Now where am I heading to? That's the run. Could go for the highs. Certainly, I'll just go in between.
Tesla's pushing out.
Yeah, so that might be the catalyst to get us out of there. Yeah, so where is NASDAQ heading to? So we got the next high of, that's a possible, the high there or the highs up here. So Tesla also has that gap from Friday. Let me get rid of this. So Tesla, on Friday, we closed there and then we opened on Sunday right there. So that gap is huge. And we've already gone up halfway of it. So we're heading back to the highs of those gaps. Could come back into this gap here.
What price is that, Lennox?
That's 268
I'll take that.
area, but that, I mean, that might be a stretch. 264 to 265 might be more reasonable, but you know, could still certainly make it up there.
What's that? 258 now. 259.
Yeah, so 265 might be reasonable. Bitcoin is going nicely, so looking for Bitcoin to continue pushing up. So that was a good buy right at that point. And the reason I took that buy at that point was because they swept this high. So I got the 1, 2, 3 at that point. They pulled back in. They did an A B kind of ABC thing in here. And then they did another 1, 2, 3. So I thought, okay, this pullback was perfect for that. We should continue up without taking out the lows at that point. So it's worked. That was just because I had that 1, 2, 3 right at that point. So I thought it'd be worthwhile. Let me just move my stop into positive just in case they decide to come back down for whatever reason. I can lock in some profits. So I do have a gap here. So this gap should hold us up.
I'm back, Lennox.
All right.
Going.
Going good. Everything is working out the way we were expecting it so far in the markets. So
That's always good.
yeah, it's nice when it does what you expect, because sometimes it does not. Of course, as you well know. So just to give you a quick recap of what we did. At this, were you here still at, what time did you leave? Because
I left about 5:10 after 1.
after 1, oh, okay. So you weren't
New
here.
York time.
All right. So we saw this move down and this chop. This is on the NAS. So I was expecting them to come down and take out the lows. And so I jumped in up here and caught this move down. And then after that move down, I'm expecting them to come back up and create a 1, 2, 3 to take us back up. So that was the plan of attack. And they came down and they created the 1, 2, 3.
That's a nice one.
And unfortunately for me, at this point, I was looking for a fractal here, but they opened up really high up here after they closed on this big candle, which is a really good, but I didn't want to jump in because my risk is really high at that point. So I thought I'd leave it alone. Stacy jumped in on this candle and was able to catch the move, but I wasn't able to catch that move because they opened up so high. So I thought, now I'm going to leave it alone. I'm looking for them to break the high and come back in and then give me an entry, but they didn't do that.
Well, so that's an algo trade you have.
That's an algo trade because it's right at 2 o'clock. And they took off without any retrace here whatsoever. And that was fine. So yeah, so I missed that, but that's all good. And now at this point here, I expected them to chop it up a little bit in here and then give us another move out. And so I took advantage of Bitcoin and jumped in on Bitcoin, and could have jumped in on NASDAQ as well, but you can see both of them were doing the same thing. So I caught Bitcoin and I'm in the upside. So that's where we're at. So it's doing what we're expecting, and that's really good.
Thank you for that. That first move you made this morning, I mean, after 1 o'clock, that was quite similar to what I had this morning. I think it was right around 9:30. It had a nice down, and then it sort of slowly moved up in like a wave 4 type motion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's what they were doing here, chopping it up to induce the longs.
Yeah.
And of course, everybody is sitting ducks under here now as they come back down to take out the 5th wave. So yeah, that worked nicely.
But we didn't have a 5th wave this morning, which is interesting. I didn't get in that trade anyway, so it didn't really matter to me.
So we're getting quite a nice push now in Bitcoin and the NAS.
Hey,
so that would have been a nice entry also in the NAS. They did the same pattern.
Yeah.
A little sweep right there, retrace, and then they chopped it up a little bit, and then they gave a 1, 2, 3 right at the end. So I took that. Bitcoin was a little bit nicer, 1, 2, 3 there, similar. So it was a nice entry.
When I first talked to you and you came on, I said this morning when I got on, we were about almost minus 2%. It was about minus 1.9 something. And when we talked at right around just before 1 o'clock my time, price was down to almost just 1%. And right now it's down to 0.34%. So it's been moving consistently up. The other thing that's interesting is last Friday when we ended up, it was down at the very bottom of the volume profile, and now it's been creeping up, moving towards point of control of the volume profile. Right now it's in sort of not a heck of a lot of volume at this point, but coming into more volume. It'll be interesting to see what happens. But theoretically, it should end up higher, I would think.
Yeah, it looks so. So Tesla was
based upon 2 factors. It's the end of the month and the end of the quarter. So the big boys using puts and calls to as insurance on the markets, they're going to have to cover them. Well, they covered them last week, but at this point in time, they're dressing up their portfolio so they'll get out of anything that's they don't like and get into something that's moving higher.
Mm-hmm. So Tesla did the similar pattern at the same point. So Tesla made a nice 1, 2, 3. We went up. Now we know we're in a 4th wave area. We could gyrate in here, of course. We just don't know what they're going to do in here. But sometimes they show their hand, And in this case, we get the sweep. They pull back, and they're not breaking through this order block at that point. So a little sweep right there, and then they're off. So it's a little different than the NAS, where the NAS gave us an actual 1, 2, 3 there, but this was a little quick sweep, and then they're off. So it's a little trickier on Tesla to get in on that point. At that point.
Yeah, I see.
It's very difficult in the fourth wave because you just don't know. Jumping in, just because I jumped in at that point doesn't mean that I'm going to be correct and they're going to go. They could have dropped it down, taken out the lows again, and all that. So it's a risk play, but.
And right now
I'm in.
Beginning to lose momentum.
So were you using the trend lines to help you there, Peter?
I draw trend lines all the time to the point where
the trend lines here would have helped immensely.
Oh yeah, no, I draw trend lines all day long
to catch. So
I can't trade without trend lines.
So this one would have a trend line way over here up here somewhere. But yeah, that would have worked to catch that move. Yeah, we're getting nice pushes right now in the instruments. So NASDAQ is making a nice push. So that would have been a great play on the NAS. Let's see how S&P look at the same point. Similar. And Bitcoin's doing well.
I don't feel like jumping in at this point in time.
No, you're trying to jump on a moving train right now.
Yeah.
Where to do that. S&P looks good. NASDAQ looks great. So there was a gap right here, but they did not come back into that gap. Interesting. So I used the inverted gap, and they came to the midpoint of the inverted gap. They didn't touch the regular gap at all. Interesting. So it was the inverted gap that they held it price in, and then we get to move out. So this is quite the algo today. Very, very nice.
Yeah, that was a beauty. Yeah, the 5 minute, 5 minute hike in Nashi and regular candles was shows that nice, beautiful run up that you have there, and at that point where you have some consolidation, it was just one red candle in the regular candles, but it was blue all the way.
So looking for targets for NAS up to this level here.
Yeah, that sounds good.
On the 30. So still a ways to go. I moved my stop up on Bitcoin to protect my profits, but they're making a big red candle here that could come and take me. I wasn't expecting them to take out this low, but they could. Yeah, but that would still give me reasonable profits, so it's all good. But I'd like to see them not take me out at this point and continue up without taking that low out. And it looks like they're gunning to take the low out, unfortunately. Wow, a very surprising move here.
Because of
Okay.
where you are in Bitcoin, isn't it easier to set your targets and not get that concerned with the stops?
I'm don't understand the question. Sorry.
Because of where price is in Bitcoin, yeah, you're in Bitcoin now. Isn't it easier to set your targets and not get so concerned with the stops?
Well, I set a target. However, I move because I'm in profit, I move my stop up to protect
Okay.
profits.
Oh,
And now they're coming back.
continuously moving it up.
Yeah, see, they bring these candles back down to take all the stops out. So I have
Yeah.
my stop right here. I'm expecting them to continue, but
Right.
now they're changing their minds, and sellers have stepped in now and taken all these lows. So it's a good move of my stop to this level, because if I kept it here, I would have been taken out for a smaller loss, a smaller
Makes
profit.
sense.
So, again, I could have kept my stop in without moving it, but then you take that risk that they can do this and take you out for
Yeah.
nothing. You get nothing out of it.
Well, I mean, once I get mine into profit, I tend to work on the limit side rather than the stop side.
Yeah, it's quite a pullback here. So even
It
on the
is
NAS and everything, they've pulled back quite considerably.
that's
And
one that's pretty nasty in doing things like that, isn't
yeah,
it?
this is a big pullback here, right back to the original gap over here. So wasn't really expecting that at this point. I thought perhaps based on the move here, we would get a shallow pullback and a continuation, but we're getting a deep retrace instead. So nothing wrong with moving your stop up and getting some profits out of it. So
Yeah, that's for sure.
all right, so we'll see what happens here now. So I'd be looking for them to continue, possibly, and I say possibly now because I've got a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 now. So we could get a move back up, but we might not take out the highs anymore. We could be done, and we could be coming back down. So I have to be careful. I have to see where we went to, and this high is the actual high, the close on Friday. That's where we touched, and we can't go through it. So if I go up to the 30-minute, you can see the close on Friday right here.
Yeah.
I think that was it. Yeah, that was the close. No, so we did go above the close on Friday. So there is a larger gap that we went into, and we went up right up to the high of that gap. So I was thinking that could be it. We could come up into this gap, and that could be the end of story for us. I thought perhaps we could go higher, maybe, but now that it's looking like this could be the end of the road, and we could be turning back to the downside. So I'm going to go up to the hourly. So yeah, I thought perhaps we could make it to these highs, but they're not going up there. So now my structure looks like this. It seemed that we had enough to be able to make it into these highs. And I thought perhaps having reached this level, we could even push into this larger gap up here. And that would be reasonable, and then we could start coming back down. But they're not going very high here. So is that enough for them to turn it back? Certainly. 30-minute. So looking at the structure overall, we'll see the structure on the 15 now. So on the 15, you can see our structure is complete.
Well, that looks complete, right?
So we should be at the top. We'd be looking for 1, 2, 3 here to come back down.
Yeah.
So be careful on Tesla there, Peter. We could have another push up. Yes, certainly take out the highs one more time. That's possible. But how far up do we go after that? I can see in here 1, 2, So it looks like we're basically done. So I don't know if we're going to take that high out one more time or not. So I've got a 1, 2. So this could be 3, 4. We could go up one more time. These are equal highs. We could take those highs out one more time, but that might be it still, and then we would come down. So let's see what plays out here. And I'll be looking for sells if we get a sweep of this high here. It looks like that's what they're going to do. They're going to take out this high, give us a 1, 2, 3 here to come back down.
I didn't check to see what kind of news they're having coming this week, other than today.
Yeah, we could take a quick look at that. So tomorrow we have ISM manufacturing and the job openings.
Yeah.
And yeah, so some red news tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock.
Okay.
So not 8:30, but 10. So
It's Jolt's job opening.
Yeah, Jolt's job openings and the ISM manufacturing PMI.
Okay.
So that should be interesting. That's April 1st, and then on Wednesday, 8:15. On-farm employment. That should be a big one. And then on Thursday,
more jobs, unemployment,
and ISM again.
ISM, yeah. That's purchasing manager.
Some FOMC members are speaking. So yeah, so the next 3 days are going to be news.
Yeah, it could be some good moves.
Yeah. All right, so it looks like we're going to get one more push here to the upside to take out these highs. Going to see where this took us here. 1, 2, 3 here. 1.61. So I didn't even make it to 1.618. So yeah, they're going to make it to 1.618 on this push above the highs, it looks like. Peter.
Yeah.
Stacy with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
I'm here.
Guess who I ran into on the ferry last night, coming home back from Vancouver?
My wife.
Your wife was on?
She was on the 4 o'clock.
Okay, we were trying to catch the 5, but we were delayed. So we missed it, and then they had a delay and everything. It was brutal. So we caught the 7, but we didn't get on the boat until about 7:15 coming over. But Jagmeet Singh.
Oh, yeah.
Was on coming over to Victoria, and he's walking with his entourage coming up the aisleway, and I was standing there in the line with my grandson and everything, and my daughter, and I pointed at him and I said, I thought it was you. And he comes up to me and he puts his hand out and grabs me and pulls me into his body. The whole thing. And they're taking pictures and everything. It's like crazy. It's pretty funny.
Who was this?
Jagmeet Singh.
Who was that?
NDP.
The leader of the NDP party.
Leader of the NDP for Canada.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it's pretty funny.
So is he a friend of yours?
No, never met him before.
Well, he's a friend now.
It was a good photo op.
Oh, great photo op for him, yeah. Yeah.
I can't say that I'm a big NDP supporter.
I can't say I'm a big NDP fan either. I was going to say, I'm not voting for you. You know that, right?
Maybe
All
he
right.
just really needed a hug.
He needed a hug, yes, indeed. So we got the sweep. So is that enough, or do they go one more time? I've got 1.618 just above that high. So it's possible they could go one more time because we do have equal highs, and or not. So
Well, I did it really.
yeah, we got the sweep.
You
So
on?
that could be sufficient to take us down. So I'll be looking for a possible entry
Yeah,
here.
did it.
Let's see how Tesla looks. Tesla is the same. They didn't sweep the high on Tesla. Oh, interesting, eh? Let's see if they swept the high on S&P. They did not sweep the high on S&P. So it is still possible for one more time for them to sweep both highs. You see how they're tricky, eh? So they can sweep again the high on S&P and the previous high. Whereas on the NASDAQ, they've swept the high. So
You're 4 minutes to the hour.
okay, so we're in a macro right now. So do they go back up one more time to sweep the highs?
That'd be interesting what it wants to do for the last hour.
I think they're going to be coming back down.
The S&P and the Dow are positive from Friday's close, but the NASDAQ is still down minus 0.4%.
All right, so if they don't go back and take the high, then I'd be looking for them to break this low right here. So looking for that drop and then a retrace, and that would present a nice entry to come down.
That would be an interesting Tom DeMark trendline break if it did that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's where the trend line break would come into play. So if I marked it on Tesla, we'd be looking for this break of this trend line here. That's not right. So it would be this one right there.
Yeah, that's the one.
But they did not break the high here. So this is a DeMark trend line, supply trend line here. And yeah, so we'd be looking for a breach of this low here. Now we do have one right here, unless this candle closes below. We could have a more pronounced trend line this way. Steeper. It looks like this is going to hold, so this could be a trend line break possibility here. Yeah, it's going to hold. So there it is. So yeah, breach of this trend line would be a sell opportunity on Tesla, although I would prefer a retrace still back up into the gap up here. That would still be a nice play, but let's see NAS here. NAS is coming down. So NAS didn't have the same setup. So the NAS's trend line is still here. That's interesting how Tesla's, if I put a trend line on a NAS, it would be this low and this low. Whereas on Tesla, it's the steeper incline here. So I'm looking for them to breach this low here. and give us a retrace back up. Now, this could have been a sell here at this point. That would have been a nice sell here, your stop above, so your risk is quite small. However, I didn't know if they were going to maybe bounce one more time, so I didn't want to take that risk. So they've come very close to breaking that low, but they didn't do it. Oh, interesting. 197.5, this is 198.2. So it is still possible for them to play games and go back up and take that high because they didn't break this low. However, I don't think that's likely that they're going to go up and take that high still. So I've got a gap here. Let's see how far up we go. I could take a sell on this gap, even though they didn't break this low. There's another gap higher. But if they touch in here, I think I'll take a sell here and try take a risk on this one. Okay. Whoops, just missed by a split second. Okay, so I wanted to be right in the middle of the gap on the sell, but I'm a little lower. And my stop would be above this high here or the middle. Keep it above the high. So I'm looking for them to come back down. Am I going to be correct on this? Let's see how Tesla looks. Tesla has come back into the gap, so I like that better for an entry. Rather than the breach, because this is what happens sometimes when you take the breach, they pull back up and then they drop it. So see how S&P looks. Same. We're looking for a drop here. Now they might continue pushing higher, so I could be in jeopardy up here. There is another gap right up here. Don't really want to see them come up here, but they could. There's an inverted gap on this side. I think we should be good here. I think we should continue down from here. New Tom the mark line. How's it look on the 5? So still a bit tentative there. Because they've swept the high, I wouldn't expect them to go back and take the high again. So I'm looking for them to drop it here. Excuse me. They're hanging around a bit too long. There's some big red candles here, but they're lingering for quite a while here.
Yeah.
So it was a little indecision time. We had a big buying right here on that candle. So it's possible for them to go higher. That's the worst when they hang out like that. You know, you want to see moves like what we had over here real quick down. But it's not happening at this point. So they're going back up to the previous.
And it wants to go down yet.
So they came back up to almost touch that previous gap. Okay, this might be it now. We're getting a fractal here. This can hold. Might get a nice drop now. Make it a little bigger. So very close to touching the higher gap. We are getting a fractal, maybe. Nope, that fractal's gone. All right, so they did touch the gap. So this is another tempting sell at this point to come back down, but it's also they could take me out. Yep, and they did. Okay, so that didn't work. So I thought perhaps that this gap would hold and we'd continue down. This one's not even holding, so it looks like they might be going to take out the high one more time, which was one of the possibilities there. So I'm not liking that very much, that they're going for that, but that's the way it is. So let's see what we've got here. So this gap is no longer. So why did they come all the way up here? Just into this order block. Big, huge sell bar now. See S&P. S&P took out the high. Wow. So we're getting divergence. You can see that. They take out the high here finally on S&P. And did they take and took that high as well? Interesting. So the NASDAQ could not take out the high. So big divergence. So a lot more weakness on the NAS in comparison to the S&P. But this looks very much like a fourth wave. We're just chopping, eh? It's very choppy stuff. So I just gave back some of my profits. I need to make that back. So S&P looking like they want to go higher still. Yep.
I'm thinking maybe a 1, 2, 3 on a 1 hour to the upside.
C30, 15. No, because on the 15 we have 1, 2 here. So that would, to make it a 1, 2, 3 on the hourly, this whole thing would be the 1, 2, 3. You see? So on the hourly, it looks like it is, but you need to have a retrace back down and then a go. Like, so if I go back to the hourly, all we have on the hourly is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we need a 1, 2, 3 like that in order to go on the hourly. It makes sense?
Can you explain it one more time?
Okay, so if I drop down to the 15-minute time frame, on the 15-minute time frame, this whole move consists of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves. So in order for it to be a 1, 2, 3 on the hourly, we need a retrace and then a go. So if I go up to the hourly, see what we have so far in here is, yes, it looks like it's a 1, 2, but to get a 1, 2, 3, we need a retrace.
I'm thinking more of from the bottom, those two bullish candles, and then you have that small retrace in the red candle.
Yes, and so you're saying that this is a 1, 2 here?
Yeah.
And then we're in a third wave?
Yeah.
Yeah, I see what you're saying there, but on the 15, it's telling us that it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we would need a retrace in order for that to become a 1, 2, 3 on the hourly.
Because the wave 1 on the hourly would still have the 5-wave movement on the 15, is what you're saying.
That's exactly. So on the 15, this has to play out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, retrace. Break those lows, and then on the hourly, we'd be looking to enter to go along. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. So that's the little trick there, and yeah. So I'm looking for end of this whole 5-wave move now, right? So I've got the one. So on the 5-minute, you can see it a lot clearer. 1, 2. Then they do the 3, 4, and then we're in the 5th wave. So we want the end of this 5th wave now, and that will give us to move back down to take out these lows, maybe even these guys. And at this point now, then we can get a retrace, and it's either we're gonna come back down to take out the lows, or we're gonna continue up to go, right? So it's gonna be one or the other at that point. So what will be the likely scenario? Do we come down and take out all the lows, or do we turn around and go back up and make an hourly 1, 2, 3 bottom, right? So at that point, we'll have a good idea. So see, they're still going up. So this was a nice little trick, and that was the possibility that they could do that. Even though we took out this high, I thought that maybe that would be enough, and we get the move coming back down. But nope, that was not it. They took out the highs, came back down, did not take out the low here. So because they didn't take this low out, this high is in jeopardy still. So I took a risk that maybe we could drop, but they said that's why they're hanging around in here so long, because they're not done. Now they're taking out the high. All right, so S&P, very similar, but now they've taken out both highs. So we should be very close to the end of this move now. So that's very tricky play in here on their part. So on the 15, we're looking for the high. On the 30, so it looks like they might be heading for that high, like I thought in the first place, which is quite interesting. There's nothing else for them to go to. There's a little order block here, very tiny one, so that could be enough for them to turn around at that point. But so I'm looking for a turnaround play here still. So again, we've swept, and at this point we kind of have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave move. So this could be the high. See S&P's. So it's tricky because at this point we do have a 1, 2, 3, and then we have like another 1, 2, 3. So this could stream us higher as well, but it's also tricky because they've swept. So we could turn around and come back. So there's a couple of ways to look at it, and it's the overall picture of it that makes it the key. This controlling 1, 2, 3 down here at the bottom is the key to the whole move. This is what controls this entire move. So you need to see where it finishes. Where is the end of that move? And so they did this. They chopped it up. They chopped it up again, and now they're moving up. So we should be very close to the top of this move. Let's see how Tesla looks. Same vein for Tesla. So the controlling move on Tesla is here, 1, 2, and they chop it up. They go up. So for all intents and purposes, this is the high on Tesla. They couldn't break it here. We come back up, and now they're slowly chopping it up in here for a drop.
Yeah, I sold my long position.
Yeah, it's very tricky now at this point. So we've come up and swept these highs, which I didn't think that we would do, but it was still a possibility because we had a 1, 2 here that this could come back up and take out the high, and that's what they did. They just did a little zig in here, and now they've taken out the high. So NASDAQ, they took out the high first, dropped it. Looked like we wouldn't come back up again, but they did. So very sneaky playing on their part, very astute for them to do that. By taking the high and then dropping down, it looks like, oh yeah, that's it, we should be done. But they didn't take the low, so the high is in jeopardy, and they've taken the high. So I could be looking for a 1, 2, 3 here now to come back down, or we could go a little higher still, because I still have room to go up to this higher target, even though that's a long way up still. Where are we at now? 280, and that's 350, 360, 360. Wow. So another 80 handles to get up to there. It's possible. I'm looking at, Bitcoin right now is giving me the impression that it's almost running out of steam. So to the upside here, but you can see it's a totally different pattern. So they chopped it all up, dropped it down, and then now it's a struggle. So I can still see them going up one more time to take out these highs and possibly that high. That's not a very good line, possibly this line. So yes, to take out that high like that, that's still a possibility. Bitcoin, because they're just chopping this thing up in here. So there's our structure again, the same type of movement like on the indices. They did that, and then the 1, 2 in here. They're chopping this up again. So we could certainly go up one more time to take out these highs. If we break below these lows, this might not be so probable. But
yeah, but the 4-hour candles, are they telling you that they want to go up? Or are they saying we should be going down?
So the 4-hour says we opened, we went up first. Did we take out that high? Let's see if we took out the high on the 4-hour. No, we didn't take out the previous high. So we opened, went up high, and dropped down, but we didn't go down to take out the low. So we're coming back. So it's saying that they're looking to come back up, take out the highs, because it's just not enough to go down and take out the lows. There's lots of buying pressure, and now they could be heading back up to take out the previous high. And this is in line with the gaps and everything, and this sideways movement that we could certainly come back up one more time to take out these highs, and maybe the current high, maybe even the previous candle's high on a stretch run. But so it is pointing to that. This snaking of the charts here is really indicative of a move that should take us up one more time. So we do have a gap right here. That's the one that we're touching right now, although it was partially mitigated, but midpoint of it has not been mitigated. So they're looking to come right into that midpoint area and continue up. So I like Bitcoin there for a continued push to the upside. So I might buy that. And let's see how NAS is doing now. NAS is already pushing to the upside off this gap. It still has a little bit more upside to go. And how far am I from the highs? Not very far from the highs here on NAS, right? We could say about 80 handles or so. I'm going to see if I can catch a Bitcoin play to the upside here. Okay, I jumped in on Bitcoin. I'm looking for them to spring out of there. NAS is a nice setup. I'm not liking NAS for a play at this point, even though I do have a possibility of an 80 handle run. S&P is going, so it looks pretty good that it should do it, but I like Bitcoin setup better. Tesla should be making another run for the highs, it looks like. Get rid of this line. Going through those.
It looks like it's at the midpoint of the between them.
Yeah, looking for them to continue up here because, yeah, they really chopped it up in here. For them to push up one more time. It looks like these highs are in jeopardy on Tesla.
I think I'm done for the day on Tesla.
Yeah, I can understand.
I'm following your advice. If you made good profit, don't screw it up.
Yeah.
It's the way to go, Peter.
I'm sitting on my hands.
Yeah, a little greed can get you nowhere.
I'll leave some for somebody else. I don't want to be a pig.
Yeah, we're getting a nice push there. Tesla is having a little bit of a struggle getting out of that funky area.
Yeah, I agree.
And yeah, they're having a little bit of a struggle. Bitcoin also is having a little bit of a struggle getting out. A little surprising. I thought we would get a nice push straight up, but they are playing around down there a little bit. Did we take that high? No, we didn't take that high. So I'm looking for them to continue up here. Tesla, Bitcoin is giving me heartaches. Bitcoin said no, it's stopping me out. So I jumped into Bitcoin, but they stopped me out because they said no, we're not going up. So I had my stop right in here, and they said no, we're going down. We're not heading out. Thought we would get a nice move out of here, but it's not happening. So where are they going to? There's another gap down here. Interesting. So didn't think they would do that, but they are. So coming into this gap here. And they're equal lows here, so tempting for them to do that. So this gap looked pretty good, that we would get a bounce off that. They said, no, we want to come a little lower first and pick up get better prices in order to go if we're going to go. So are they going to go from here? Maybe. Let's see. If they don't stop here, then there's another one below. That's possible too. And they're heading for that one. Wow.
Tesla's dropping.
Yeah, so very interesting that they chopped it up like that. It looked like that would be enough for us to get another push to take out the highs one more time, but they're going down quite a bit here. Let's see if this, it looks like they're going to close below this gap. So that means the next gap is in play. So this gap now becomes the one that's in play. So very interesting movements here on Bitcoin. If that one doesn't hold, there's another tiny one just below that as well. So I'm looking at my structure, and from this point here, it looks like we should be done at this point here. So I'm going to try another buy at this level here on a fractal. So I'm looking for them to go back up to take out these highs still. So I have to wait for the next candle to open and see where that one goes. Okay, so that gives me a fractal move. So I'll take the buy there. Let's see if we continue up now. That was very close. They really didn't break that. Yeah, they did by a tad. So I should be okay. My stop I'll put below the gap.
Almost looks like it wasn't ready.
They can come through one more time and take me out here. It looks like that might be their ploy, because this other gap is in play as well. Yeah, see if they've come in. If I were playing to put my stop below the fractal, I'd be out. So I'm looking to put my stop below the gap. So I might be okay based on that, but it's very touch and go right now at that point even. So my stop will be under here. I could get taken out again, unfortunately. It's very close, but I'm hoping this gap holds and they don't go into the next gap, which is very, very close. So there's a little gap there. And we actually did touch into it, so yeah, it has to hold now, and we have to go back up now on that. So let's see how the NAS is doing at this point. So quite the drop there on the NAS. So we did not take out the previous high, and we come all the way back into this gap. Wow, amazing. So quite the retrace here. Is this gap going to hold? Maybe not. Very interesting movements here now at the end of the day. So Bitcoin looks like they could take me out again. Just hanging. S&P. So yeah, we had divergence up here. S&P took out the high and broke that low. So it looks like we're done essentially, and that's we should be coming back down like that. So we're looking for another move up into this gap for a sell. This looks like the high. So NASDAQ didn't take out the high, like didn't sweep. So that's divergence. And now we come down. We need to retrace back up into this gap area, and that will be a sell. Bitcoin is struggling to get back up, so I might be in jeopardy on that. Yeah, and I am. They took me out again. So not good on Bitcoin twice. So Bitcoin's not treating me very well today. These two plays.
Look at the time of day.
Yeah. We're in the half an hour macro at 12:15 to 12:45, and it's very choppy. I still like Bitcoin to go back up, so I'm going to wait for a fractal again. So looking for a retrace of this guy up into maybe this gap. So I'm going to mark that gap a little wider, so we could come back up here. And that would present a sell at that point.
I have to go, Lennox.
All right, Peter.
See you tomorrow.
Thanks for dropping in. Take care.
Good show. Good show.
Yeah, thanks. All right, we're getting a bounce here now. So let's see if that pushes us up into this area here. That'll be the same on S&P. That should give us a bounce on Bitcoin. Can we make it into midpoint of that gap? And 50% is here. So I'd like to see them go up above 50%. Into this gap, take out this high. About the quarter wave point of the gap, that's good. So that looks pretty good for a sell on NAS at that point. So I'll take the sell right there on the NAS. And so they're going up into the halfway point of the gap. So they're going a bit higher than I would have expected here, but I'll put my stop above this middle candle and look for them to drop. So I went into Bitcoin long, and Bitcoin has moved up nicely and given me some profits back. So I'm going to take a quick partial on that just to get. I don't know how high up they're going to go. I'd like them to go up higher, but I don't know if they're going to do it or not. Let's go up a little bit, up to that area at least. Would be good. Put my stop into positive so I don't lose on Bitcoin this time. And see if we can get up into this gap at least on this move. Oh, so very close to taking me out there on the NAS. Wow. So they came up into the higher gap. Interesting. And they look like they might want to take me out. See them drop it back now. Nope, not happening. So, wow, interesting. So going through the last gap. Now they're going to take the high again. That's interesting because we didn't sweep that high, this high could have been in jeopardy for being taken out again. So that's interesting how they did that. Let's see on the S&P. We swept the high, so you wouldn't think they would sweep this high again. So that should be where we turn around. It should be a turnaround point here. NASDAQ, oh my. So quite interesting here. On the Bitcoin, looking for them to push up into the gap and they come back down and take me out in positive, but not going up very high. So there are two gaps there, and they just came back into the first one. And I was looking for them to go back into the second one, and they're not doing that. So quite interesting turn of events, as it were, here. Yeah, so not getting a big enough bounce to give me some nice profit, and then to drop, they just go up a little bit into the first gap. Interesting. So I made a little bit of profit, so get some of those losses back, but not doing what I'm expecting. So let's see the NAS again. So NAS is now turning. So my stop was at the wrong spot. Should be above the high. So I didn't put my stop high enough away, far enough away. So, all right. So now I would need a retrace back in to catch this entry down, which is what I'm expecting. So Bitcoin's not doing what I'm expecting at all. But I can see what it's doing now. I can see that I can see the structure on Bitcoin quite clearly. And if I go to the 5-minute, you'll see it as well. So what they're doing essentially is dropping it down a little further. I don't think they'll take this low yet. They can still get a bounce back up. They're coming back into this order block here. So quite interesting there. All right, so NAS, are we done? Are we done, or did they still go up for that high? You see, if the Bitcoin's going to make a bounce back to the upside, then the NAS and the S&P should continue going up. So it's a bit tricky in here at this moment in time. It's very choppy. Is this really, the 1, 2, 3 to come down to take out the lows, or are we still going to continue going up to take out the highs again, right? It's a bit tricky at this point in time. Let's see how it looks on the 5. You can see it's very tempting for them to go back up and take out those highs and continue up. So this, looking for this as a sell might not be such a great idea. Possibility that they could come back down, but they have to take this low out, come down. Will they take the low down here if they do that? Maybe not, and we could continue back up again. Yeah, it's a bit tricky in here because we're just chopping. This is nasty kid stuff here. Get rid of this gap. This gap is no good. You see the dilemma we're in. We're in such a chop. They're just fooling everybody. They're just manipulating everyone and accumulating all their positions. So it's a tough play to go long or short at this moment in time. It looks like they want to take out the highs. Yeah, and that's what they're doing. Yeah, very, very astute on their part. Yeah, very good, very good. So they are gunning looks like for those highs. Oh, that's the S&P. Let me go to the NAS. It looks like they are gunning for those highs up there, which is still a ways, 360 handles away. But now we have a 1, 2, 3 bottom, so it's in reach now, right? So very smart play on their part here. They chopped it all up, made it look like they were going to come down, and now they're continuing. So I was correct in the first place that we would more than likely reach for that. Very good, very good. S&P 5 minute. So if we look at this again on the 15, our 15-minute, we're not done the structure. On the hourly, on the hourly again, it looks, I know how that looks. It looks like we could be in a third wave and we could go way up. So that would take us way up, taking out these highs if that was the case. Maybe, even these highs, but we shouldn't really go that high because we have a gap here. So this could be our ending area. That would give us a nice 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we come back down again. That's the S&P, NASDAQ, similar. 1, 2, 3, up into 4, and then continuation. So quite a move right now. We're almost there. So that would have been a good play to the upside to get to that target. Interesting. So I jumped into Bitcoin in any case to catch the move back to the upside like these guys are doing from the bottom. And they're giving me a nice little bounce here from this last gap on the 1 minute, which is right there. We're getting that bounce. So we should push up, just like the indices are doing from that gap. Will that work? Give us a nice 1, 2, 3 here to continue up. Otherwise, I am dead in the water again. So I'll put my stop below the low. So they have to take me out at that low, which is possible. And it did. Wow. Okay, so they weren't done again. Wow. So interesting. So this didn't hold. And what else do I have on the left? Another order block, right? Another gap right there. So there are two gaps there. That's interesting. So the first one is not holding. There's another, and we come back into that one. Okay, so I'll try it again. Look for a fractal here to continue up. They come right into the middle of the lowest gap. So I'll wait for the fractal. So Bitcoin, NASDAQ is giving us a pullback for one more attempt at the highs. And Bitcoin's going through the gap. What else is left? Nothing. So this gap has to hold, otherwise we're taking out the lows. This gap's no good. This gap's no good. So that's the last gasp, this order block, otherwise we take out the lows. We're at 3 minutes before macro time, so I think our macro is going to push us higher into the close. This will give Bitcoin a boost, I would think, at that point. We've swept that low. So is that enough now? Or are they going to sweep this low? Oh, interesting. You want to come down and take this low as well? Looks so. We got a couple minutes left before the macro. Quite an interesting movements here. I'm still expecting them to bounce it. Okay, less than a minute to go before macro time. So I'm looking for, okay, it doesn't look like I can get into Bitcoin anytime soon. So I'm going to go back to the NAS. I jumped into the NAS on the 1 minute, looking for a push back to the upside to take out the highs one more time here. Otherwise, they take me out here at the bottom, but looking for a big push on the NAS here. In 10 seconds or so. I'll be right back, gentlemen. Okay, wow. So they did pop it up and come all the way back down. That's very mean. So had I been here, I would have been able to take something off up there. Thought they would just continue going straight up, but they did sweep the high, so that might be enough. I thought they would continue going up a little higher than that. So that's quite a retrace sweep. Do we go back up again? Or am I done? That's unfortunate there. So by leaving, I might have missed my opportunity there to get out. And Bitcoin has continued to go down. So that's not boding well for the NAS now because of that sweep. So I think I might have missed my opportunity to get out of this with that sweep. So that's an interesting end to the day here. So that's going to be a large loss on because I didn't get out up there. So I should have really put my TP right up there before I left, and that would have given me, let's see what that my TP, a nice profit right there. It'd been a 2-to-1 essentially. Yeah, so that's unfortunate there, not being able to get out of the top.
So when I look at the 1 hour again, see, I do see 5 waves on that one.
Yeah, now it's complete, eh?
Impulse move.
Yeah. So
we should be expecting a 4th wave. So maybe just a little time and you'll be able to get out.
So you're still looking at this like this.
Yep.
And you're looking for a 4th wave to go one more time. Okay, so
yeah, when I look at
back
the
to the 15 again.
Dow and this.
Okay, now the 15 says
it's a little bit more defined.
The 15 says we're done.
Take a look at your NAS now.
I'm gonna say that right before you that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the short side.
That's hilarious. Okay, so the 15 is saying still the same thing. The same picture is on the 15 that we're basically at the top of this move now, and we they might stretch for that high there, and then that's it. We're done, and then we should be coming back down, and that would give us the 1 hour 1, 2, 3 still. So we're not completely done yet, but you can't look at this on the hourly and say this is the 1, 2, and then we're in a 3rd wave. You could, but I mean, I could be wrong and you could be right, but you have to look at it from this level as 5 waves.
Right there before you put your wave 2, I'm gonna say that that's 3, 4 or a 3, 4, 5. Where it goes sideways a little bit, I'm just gonna say that's a wave 4. So 1.
It is a wave 4 on this level because we have a 1, 2 here. So this becomes a wave 5.
Though I'm gonna say just that little pin bar is gonna be the end of the wave 3 when it comes back down.
In here.
And then
is that what you're referring to? In here?
To the left. No, to the left.
In here?
Left. Yep, I'm gonna say that's wave 4. And then 5.
And then this is 5? And
yes.
Then you're saying this is a 1, 2 here.
So, yep, I'm saying 1, 2,
I see what you're saying,
3. Because when you look at it I looked at it also on the Dow and the NAS, and on the Dow and the NAS, it's more defined to where it looks like that 5-wave movement.
Yeah, I totally see what you're saying, but I'm saying that you have to look at on the 15 here. This is what controlled that entire move. So this gives us our 5 waves. So we should be expecting a retrace back, maybe even to take these lows out. Then when you go to the 1 hour time frame, that gives you the 1-2 that you're looking for to either continue or to come back down. So it's going to be like one or the other that way. But yeah, I can see what you're, you can certainly look at this from the hourly and think, okay, this is 1-2, 1-2 or whatever, and then we're getting a third wave that should take us way back up. It is possible, certainly. We could certainly come all the way back up into this area. But I have a 1-2 here as well, which is controlling the move on this level. So this drop puts me into a third wave. This is a fourth wave, and I would be expecting another wave down, right? So yes, we could come up to this area, certainly, but I wouldn't really expect it, but it is possible because we do have a gap up here. So middle of the gap type of thing, middle of the gap type of thing, we could come up into that area, certainly, and then come back down. That is possible. But these guys are so mean and nasty on me here today. Like, look at that. So they came and took me out by a tad and did what I was expecting them to do. But they did it the first time. So if I had stayed here for that, I just had to leave there just for a moment. But yeah, that would have been a nice profit to there. And then, that could even be jumping back in again to come back up to catch this move. But not to be. That's okay. I see exactly what they're doing. So it's that was the key to it, to be able to see what they're doing, even though I wasn't able to stay in. Be able to see what they're doing is key. It's at least you have a fighting chance that way. But if you don't know what they're doing, then you don't have a chance. So they're coming back down quick again. So they're playing a lot of games here. So our structure is there, 1-2. So this move coming back in without taking this low gives us another impetus to go back up. But they did it here, so you'd think that they would be done, but they come back in again and then do it again. So they've swept twice. So we should be done now. This should be the high now. How close did we come? We came very close to that high there. So I wouldn't expect them to go back up again and take this high, although it is definitely a possibility, right? Because they're playing games here. So they've done this, so they're chopping it. You see? So we could go up one more time because they're chopping. So they're very sneaky.
Stacy speaking. Hey, Ralph. Yeah, I've got some Western Digitals and some Kingston 1 and 2 terabytes.
Oh, gonna have to mute you there, Stacy.
Like 500.
Stacy, where's Stacy? Mute. Okay. So Marquis, the key right now is what's going on here, because if we're close to the top of the move that I'm talking about on the 15. So on the 15, we've got the 5 waves, and we're very close to this peak here, right? We're very close to that. We're sitting, right here. And we, on this level, on the 1 minute, we have a 1-2, and they're chopping it. It is possible if they don't take this low and close below it, that we could go back up and take that high one more time to go into that high. So we're just up in here right now, just chopping around. So either we go up one more time or they just drop it from here. And that would give us our structure move. And then on the 1 hour, you can look at that as your 1-2. And either we're going to continue pushing up to take out the highs, or we just go halfway and turn back to the downside, which is what I'm expecting. So I hope that makes sense, but I know it's when it's going in real
just
time,
mostly
it's tough.
expecting it to go sideways. So I've been jumping in and just taking just small trades once my indicators kind of all align. But
yeah, that's why you have to get in and out quickly, especially at these time of day, in the macro and it's very choppy, and very violent moves.
a lot of pullbacks. So just sideways chop.
Yeah, this was again a good play to the upside. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get. I should have set my target. That was a mistake. I didn't set the target, but my stop was at the correct spot, but they still came and took me out. Unfortunately, and then they still go up and take out the high. So do we expect them to go back up and take out the high again? It's possible, or we just go up and come back down. But we're very close to the top here, is what I'm saying right now, of this move off the 15-minute time frame. So the 15-minute time frame is showing us a nice structure that could be the top. So if that is the case and that is the top, then we would expect a retrace of this move back down 50% area. Oops, let me do that again. Take out these lows, perhaps give us a retrace, and to continue to take out these lows. So that would be my expectation. If it doesn't come back and take this low out again, then we would be going this way. But I don't really see that happening, but it's possible, of course. So right now, we're either going to come through this gap and continue higher one more time to take out the highs, or we come into this gap to continue down. Let me get rid of this gap. So we do have another inverted gap here, but this is a low inverted gap. So you want it to go back up at least 50% ideally, but there's no guarantee of that. You don't want to see them just turn back here to go down. You want to see them. Let me see if I can get rid of this thing. I want to see them continue going up a little higher to come down rather than to just drop from here. But they can drop from here, right?
Yeah, I'm thinking that's what they might be trying to do.
We got a sweep there. So on the sweep, you want to see them retrace a little higher up, but there's no guarantee of that. So that's where the gap is.
Yeah, I would take that to the downside right now if it wasn't so late in the day.
Yeah, it's a tough one. It's a touchy one here because again, this is not much of a retrace. So we could do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and go up into here and then come down, right? So you have to be careful because you always have to consider your 1, 2, 3 first before you get that move. Sometimes these moves are so quick, you don't realize that even in a move like this, there is a 1, 2, 3 here. It's just you don't see it unless you go to the seconds chart. This is a quick move, but there is a 1, 2, 3 there on the seconds chart. It's a sweep here. It's a move up, but there's a little bit of a blip there on the seconds chart. So let me see if I can show you. I'll go down to the 10 seconds. Okay, so where are we? Yeah, okay, so there we are. So on the seconds chart, can I see it? Yeah, here it is. Okay, so Move this over a little bit. All right, so currently we're in this mess here. We're right in here right now. So you don't see over here when we came down in here, this is here. And there is a 1, 2, 3 in there. See, it's very quick. Very quick. I'm on 10 seconds. And then it takes off, goes up, does this little jig in here, and then goes up one more time. So it doesn't look like there is one, but there is. And that's why I jump in on these fractals, because I know that there's a 1, 2, 3 there at that level. So when you see this type of movement here, yes, it could drop, certainly, but you have to be careful because they can manipulate it and take off up to the upside. Because there is a 1, 2, 3 there. So you can see on the seconds chart now, we're just sliding sideways, right? We're just sliding sideways, but it is a 1, 2, 3 still, because it's got 5 waves in it. So it's doing this kind of movement. We can still go up. Because the 1, 2, 3 can be an A, B, C, and then we go, or it can be A, B, C, D, E, and then we go. So it could be either of those. And in this case, right now, we've got an A, B, C, D, E. So we could, unless we break the low, which is possible, and then we're gone, then we could still go up. So I hope that's making sense, what I'm showing you, but yeah, little nuances of it. So we'd have to break that low for us to be falling, but until it's such time that we break that low, there's still that possibility that we can go up.
So I am bearish. So I do think it's going to break that low. And I think it's going to take that, or it's going to take the lows from about the 3 o'clock, like from 1500. And then once it takes those lows out, then it's going to kind of figure out what it wants to do, or what it wants to continue to do. But I think it's going to come down to take all these pullback lows.
Then if that's the case, and it's going to do that, take all these lows, then that's the completion of our 5-wave structure. You see? And then that means on the 1 hour time frame, that would be your true 1, 2. That's your true 1, 2, 3. So again, the question is that the bottom though? If that's the bottom, then we would go and take out the high. If it's not the bottom, then we're only going to go halfway and come back down, or gyrate around in here. So it's essentially, again, I'm saying this is a 4th wave, so we could do this kind of thing in here before we drop. So we don't know what it's going to do in this area, but if we consider that it is a 3rd wave at this point, then we can do any kind of thing in here before we continue down and take out these lows again. So it's very tricky, very tricky. You see what I mean? They see how they can turn it and take off to the upside. You have to be really careful. And that is, if they sweep this high, and they have, then the likelihood is that we're going to go up to this gap, because that becomes a true 1, 2, 3. So them sweeping that high should push us up, unless there's a 1, 2, 3 here, and we've come down and we're just chopping, and then we could still continue down. You see? So if there's a 1, 2, 3 here that's controlling this move down, which is possible, but you can't see it on the 1 minute time frame, so we'd have to again go back to the seconds chart to look at that high and see if that's what's occurring. So we go to the 15 seconds chart. Okay, so what I'm saying is, at this point, here, there's a 1, 2, 3 there. So you see on the second chart, this is 15 seconds, then this drop becomes a fourth wave. And so that we can gyrate in here and drop. That's what it's doing. So even this move up is just a fake out to go along, and we're going to drop. So it, again, the whole key to the 1, 2, 3 and everything is that once you pinpoint a 1, 2, 3, it becomes the controller of the move, the entire move that you're in, and on the time frame that you're in as well. So you have to be able to understand where you are on the 1, 2, 3. So if you find a 1, 2, 3, which will be, in this case would be a 1, 2, 3 right here, which is on the seconds chart. If that's controlling the move, which it is, then this becomes a fourth wave. You see? So we would expect that. But it's choppy, and so they fake it and make it look like, okay, this is the bottom one, this is a 1, 2, 3 that's going to take us up, but it won't, because the 1, 2, 3 has been controlled from up here. Your move has been controlled by the 1, 2, 3 up here. I hope this is making sense. I know it seems convoluted what I'm saying, but I think it should make, like here we got a 1, 2, 3. When you have a 1, 2, 3 right there, this controls the move now. So we expect it to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave. So it did do that. It did it in a very convoluted way, mind you. You see, it chopped it all up, and it did eventually do it. But it's when you draw it out, yeah, it looks like, oh yeah, I should just do that. But they can do all kinds of stuff in here. And that's what they do. They mess it all up in here. But you eventually expect them to take out that high, this high, this high. That gives you your structure. Once you do that, then your structure is done. So now you would expect them to come back down. Come back down. But once they come back down, where are they going to go next? It all depends on where you are in the bigger structure. So either we're going to continue going up, or we're going to just go halfway and continue going down. So there's only a couple possibilities, right? Or we can slide sideways. So it's either going to be continuing, going back, or sliding sideways from there.
That makes sense. I don't really. So
I hope so.
You're able to see it in a little bit more depth, because I rarely will check the seconds charts. Actually, I don't really check the seconds
chart.
chart.
I mean, so not very many people check the seconds chart. So you're never going to see this, or expect any of this. So yeah, so sweep. So most people are looking at this now on the 1 minute traders are looking at this. They see a sweep, they see this move, and they'll be piling in now to go, which is fine, right? But if there's a 1, 2, 3 here, which there is, then it's possible that we won't even go back up here at all. So jumping in here to go up here is mute, and we might not get there. It is still possible for a price to go up there, because they can do that. They can still do that and go up there. But the expected move is still to take out this low. You understand? Because this guy is controlling it. So you take a risk by jumping in at this point to go long, because we might not get up there. But you take a risk by going in short at this point too, because it might not drop right away. So the better play is to wait out the end of this move altogether. Yes, they could come back up here for sure. Maybe it's possible. And then you get your 1, 2, 3 to come down, like we did in the first play of the day today. That would be the better play, to wait out this move, wait for your 1, 2, 3 to go. Because to jump in here to go short is not a good thing, because we're not complete. The structure isn't complete yet. So I'm a little bit on the down on my day today because of missing that exit there, which I should have caught. Unfortunately, missed that. So that brought me down a little bit, but almost would have been a break-even day again today on that. If I caught that move, I would have been up. So leaving your pewter in the macro at the beginning of the macro without putting a target on was not a good thing. But I really thought that we would get a push up to this high, so that's why I figured, okay, I have enough time to take a quick break and come back. But not to be. So it looks like now we're 18. Well, we're 18 minutes after already. Okay, so it looks like we're probably just going to gyrate up into Asia and maybe a slow grind back down, something like that possibly happening. I'm still expecting them to take out these lows here. All right, so interesting day.
Yep.
Indeed. So we shall call it a day, and I will catch up to you guys on the morrow. And for those on YouTube, thanks again for dropping in and watching. And hopefully this is a good edification. Remember, this is all just for educational purposes. We don't expect anybody to take our trades. So give us a like and subscribe to our channel. All right, guys.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
AC.
I would also say for those of us who actually practice or partake in the course every day, to go on YouTube and give it a like, so that way the algo can say, hey, these are the guys who are liking this stuff, and then they'll start recommending it to like other people and what have you. So that's what I normally do. I'll just go in there and give it a like, just because.
Thanks, Lennox and George.
All right, Stacy, thanks.
All right, gentlemen.
Glad you made
Catch
some
you guys
profits
tomorrow.
today. It's great. Have a great rest of the day, guys. Take care.
Take care.
All right. Bye now.